6 months ago, coming out with a car the size and price of the Gremlin was a gamble, but American Motors took it.
You're watching Channel 3, SF TV.
Welcome to the fourth session of our pilot episode, The Nature of Threat, set sometime in September 9th of 1970, as we join the crew of the USS Avicenna in the midst of crisis.
After the third commercial break.
Yes, this has been a very long episode. Heavily featuring car companies, I note.
Yeah.
And Doritos.
Oh my God.
The ship, the USS Avicenna, is hanging over this purple and cobalt world, which seems to be in the process, not really of tearing itself apart, but so great are the vibrations and let's call it seismic activity through the crust of the planet that it seems to ripple, that observers, if there were any on the planet, would see the surface moving as if it were liquid. Right. The outpost itself, the above ground, the 5 levels above ground, have nearly completely collapsed. Fortunately, very few of their, let's say, their crew, their residents, were still above ground when that happened. Although reports filtering across the bridge from sickbay indicate that large numbers of security and engineering personnel were lost as they were left behind trying to maintain the integrity of life support and make sure that all other personnel were able to get into safer areas. Those safe areas are only going to be safe for a certain amount of time. That's where Ensign Yang and Lieutenant Korsakov find themselves with a very large number of the outpost's residents, many of whom have minor injuries, some of whom have major injuries, and they are 6 levels below the surface with no power and only the benefit of this huge cargo space to provide them with residual heat. Of course, they're deep underground, so heat isn't a huge issue, but air. They do have a map in order to guide them back up through the turbo lift tunnels, if that proves to be necessary. And there are ways up in toward the surface, toward the shuttle bay area, toward the external staging areas, which would involve stairwells and ladders and
500 or hundreds of people up there. That's a brute. Yeah.
The turbo lifts are not standard turbo lifts. They are massive for equipment and things like this, but everything is currently dead. Now, on the ship, on the Avicenna, the medical crew have been working since the team sent to the surface level outpost floors beamed back with their wounded, right? And these have been very serious cases of exposure to the toxic atmosphere of the planet and crushing and all sorts of things. So they needed to recruit our acting captain in order to save lives when he beamed up with the 5 people from below ground, right? So that was 2 lightly injured individuals and 2 very heavily injured individuals, and 1 completely unharmed, but, shocked and stressed individual. Now, when we last left the crew, the ship had been hit with no sense of physical impact, but a reaction from the ship itself as all sorts of systems began to operate independently. So the ship bucked and threw people, but there was no sign of impact or impact damage. The shields reflected the energy of the wave and the particles back down to the planet, causing tremendous devastation far beyond the amount of energy involved in putting the shields up. All right, so this is some sort of technology. This is some sort of effect far beyond what the Federation can, let's say, comprehend. Devastation. What was left of the outpost on the surface is just scattered across the landscape, and the landscape itself is boiled off in certain areas, making it all make sense why the outpost would be shrieking up at the Potemkin.
At the Potemkin, yeah.
You've killed us all. The beam of waveform particles is still enveloping the ship.
Oh.
And
I thought
systems,
we impulsed out of it, but
you
did it follow?
have moved, and the beam has followed.
Okay.
Right. The beam is not like a narrow phaser beam, and as you know, data's coming in constantly, and what we're seeing is that the beam is expanding, and as the Avicenna pulls into a higher orbit and shifts into different bands to circumnavigate or otherwise break its pattern to evade, the beam is getting wider, although weaker, as you might expect, and constantly maintaining contact with the ship. Not so much with the Potemkin, which is still just kind of drifting where it was. And systems all over the ship are turning on and turning off, and people are experiencing peculiar sensations. This causes a brief moment of crisis in sickbay when everything shuts off for a second. But then everything starts up again. And there's a sense of pressure in the mind. Particularly sensitive to this sense of pressure in the mind is the acting captain, whose species has been known to be more open to the minds of other beings in contact with them. So as we begin, we will start again on the bridge, hearing the communications officer who's working under Anya Smith's supervision. Anya Smith is still in the command chair, and Buto is still at Life Sciences. Lieutenant Commander Jane Finch has returned to the bridge after all of this, heaving and bucking of the ship to relieve our current flight controller, right, who exits with some grace but no less sign of relief. Meanwhile, there are other engineering technicians around the bridge trying to make sure that they can regain complete control over ship systems, right? As reports are just flooding in from damage control about systems turning themselves on and turning themselves off. And we're hearing the communications officer piping a signal down to sickbay saying that it's Commodore who is directly responsible for crisis response and some other divisions, who is demanding to speak with acting Captain Tillich. So we can hear that on the bridge, and that's where our scene is. And the ensign at the communications console is saying, "Captain to the bridge." Who would like to take Anya?
I think I'll stick with Mbuto.
Interesting.
Oh, we're not going to switch around? All right. Back to Anya.
Oh.
All right.
I kind of like consistency here.
Okay.
I feel like I could get into a character.
Okay. Can you,
I'll go with
Anthony,
Jane
help
Finch.
me a little bit?
Yeah. How so?
Well, there's a little bit of table talk just to make sure I'm oriented. Jane, okay, there's Anya Smith and then there's Jane Finch.
Yep.
And Anya had the con and will And you're saying that Finch has shown up and has taken over the con. Is that correct?
Finch has shown up to take over the helm.
The helm. Okay, got it.
She's on the
Right, so-
last dregs of her tour,
Right.
and besides,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So at least I have a working set of bridge crew here still.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, Anya says, confirm, would update on the beam status.
Mbuto would like to do a sensor sweep again, just to get on the particularities of the beam, how it works, what is it exactly, and why is it still following us.
All right. So this is a difficulty 0 situation. I can give you the basic information, or you can roll.
Do we want to obtain information with extra momentum?
That's Mbuto's decision.
Okay. Yeah, I think at this point we probably should spend maybe a couple, two points of momentum, so we get 3 pieces of information.
Well, what you'll
It's not consensus, man. Do it.
Yeah, and you're going to roll, right? I'm taking it.
Right.
You're going to roll.
Oh, okay, right.
You're not going to roll.
I'm going to roll.
Okay, then roll.
Okay, so there's a reason in science, which is 13, or was it 14 for Mbuto?
14 for Mbuto.
14 for Mbuto. I have 2 successes on both dice.
Nice. Okay. This generates 2 additional points of.
Momentum. Then we just use those 2 additional momentum for the obtained information.
Okay. All right. So the basic information. I'm not going to show the screen. Screw you then. The basic information beyond what I've already told you, right, which was what we learned the last time, and we can imagine, the kind of the bloodstained Captain Tillett coming up from sickbay in the turbo lift as this is happening. He's going to hit the bridge as the report comes from Mbuto.
Right. Perfect
Okay.
timing.
Oh. So the beam is doing no harm to the ship. It is not causing a displacement of the vessel in any way, but the energy readings from the beam itself are off the charts. They're unbelievable, right? And the source of the beam is within only 10 clicks, only 10 kilometers of the outpost itself. The outpost had been built next to a large mountain range to give it some shelter from cosmic events, that sort of thing. And from that mountain range, which to Mbuto's trained eye doesn't look like a totally normal mountain range, comes this beam. Right? And it's not as if it's projecting from like one peak, like from a beam emitter. The entire mountain range is giving off this wave of energy, which by the time it hits the ship is somewhat particulate. That's the basic information. For more information, Mbuto can recognize by tying in the ship's internal scanners that this wave is penetrating the ship effortlessly, but is reflecting back, in a sense, that's not the best way to put it, from the organic material aboard.
Ooh.
So there's like a nimbus of all of the living crew on the internal scans of the ship. So where he might be looking for delicate systems being disrupted, instead he's seeing almost like a negative image of the crew as this energy travels back down to the planet. And remember, this was considered a scan.
It's scanning us. Yeah.
That's the first point of momentum. Do you want to spend the second point of momentum.
Yes.
Yes, he says. All right.
Hell yes.
We didn't get those tutorials on gaining information for nothing. Right.
Some people on the crew are glowing more brightly than others.
Phew.
And just to make things particularly, I'm not doing this to make it obtuse, but
Mm.
as
Of course
seriously, I'm trying.
I believe you. I just like the perception, though, that you're referring to. Go on. Yeah.
Checking that information and seeing that some individuals among the crew are highlighted more than others, that are absorbing or reflecting, I guess what I want to say, reflecting more of the energy than others. Lieutenant Korsakov's quarters are ablaze with energy. And
Mbuto, both hands over the scanner. Oh, nothing.
and a coherent signal.
Mm-hmm.
Coherent signal like reply?
Like a reply. Like if it were a radio, then it would be, a back and forth. But this is alien technology.
Yeah, this is what you get when you roll a 16 on that table.
All right. And so as this report filters across the screens around life sciences, and as Mbuto shares whatever amount of it that he shares, Tillich is there. And one of Korsakov's security officers says, "Captain on the deck."
Anya vacates the big chair.
Good work, everyone. We're coming to understand this phenomena. Mbuto, Tillich doesn't know anything about the Mbuto Korsakov connection with.
I was wondering about that. What is Tillich's understanding of that? Is it blank?
But yeah, to be fair, we can imagine that Tillich was somewhere on the ground on that day, right outside on that planet, and of course knows that Captain Stian Anders was believed dead, and then
isn't,
and then wasn't,
right,
and then began behaving erratically after that and needed to be relieved. So after
Hell's come back wrong. They come back wrong. Why?
After the return to the ship, Captain Anders never left sickbay.
Right.
And other members that were around began to display curious behaviors leading to their removal from the Avicenna. Many of those who were down on the planet did not, right? They went through rigorous medical scanning and were found to be fine. But
right. Okay. So Anya is I quickly present Captain Tillich with anything that isn't objectively available from the report so far, specifically that I was wondering about that, Anthony.
it's reversed on my screen for some reason.
So okay, sorry, I'm not being efficient with this. Let me see. Captain, we have hundreds of people deep. They're at risk. They're safe for the moment. They're at risk deep beneath the planet in the sublevels. The Potemkin is available. We don't have the resources on this ship to get all of those people up here in time, but the Potemkin does.
Understood. Good work, Lieutenant. Right?
She has this look on her face of no, it wasn't. She's really pissed about blasting the planet, but but that's it. Just the face. Just the face.
We, as usual, have a number of problems to solve. We need to keep our people here alive long enough to help. We need to get the Potemkin in action to help with the evacuation, and we need a way to get the people out from underneath the piles of rubble. I am imagining a couple of solutions. Anya, who's back on? Who would be deflector dish at the moment? Would that be comms or science?
Science. Mbuto.
Mbuto. We definitely do not want shields again, but I wonder if we could rig something on the deflector dish to redirect the signal either away from or around the ship, giving us some time to enable the rescue.
And Buto is going to check his focus.
Given that this is biological, think of how we can get the deflector dish to reflect or set up a field to have the biological scannings ignore us. Yes, Lieutenant.
Yes.
This is since
You have something
Korsakov's
to
not
add?
there. This is not Anya Smith. This is Rhonda
Okay.
Joe.
Yep.
I'm just sharing my imagination. Unless you guys don't want me to do this, I'm sharing my imagination that whatever it is, somehow we know, or I know, that Telek is feeling that pressure as he's saying, like, get that thing off, turn that thing off, get that thing off. It's you're getting hammered by that thing personally, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It sounds like Tillich is more aware of that than most at the moment. The more direct option would be to do something at that mountain. We could get violent on that mountain as a backup option, but I'd like to try to see if we can do something a little more subtle first.
Okay. Now it sounds like what you'd like to do is to come up with some way to use the deflector dish for, basically a purpose it was not intended, but can be jury rigged to handle.
Yes.
This is the sort of language that leads into extended tasks.
Okay.
All right. And this completely falls within the realm of possibility. So let's imagine this beginning to take shape across the bridge and down into engineering.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'll recall, Ensign Yang had achieved communication with the bridge, right? And had received the information about how to begin the process. So let's cut down to the planet, all right, where we have Korsakov reeling from the discovery that the thing hiding in his quarters has some kind of aesthetic connection to the material found here.
Did Mbuto say anything specifically to Korsakov about that, like personally, or is that just the general report?
Right. He has no idea about the glow in his quarters. Korsakov.
Wait. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm getting contradictory information now. What's happening?
On the planet, Korsakov has no idea that the alien artifact in his quarters is responding to the wave. But he's looking at, archaeological fragments.
Reeling from the information on the box.
Yeah. So the box is full of these shattered pieces, right?
Okay.
So there aren't complete artifacts or anything like that. It's broken pieces, but it's the stamp on it. Yeah. Okay. So, and he and Yang are together, and the captain has been informed of, we've got to use the Potemkin. All right. So the question is, will those two stay with the outpost personnel as they try to work themselves toward the shuttle bay, or will they go to the Potemkin?
All right. I outrank Ensign Yang.
Yes.
So I'm going to say very, very quietly, not like my usual talking at all, but very quietly to Ensign Yang, while everything is going on around me. The people there are actually pretty competent, it seems to me. It's not like I have to hold their hands at the moment. So I'm going to say very quietly to Ensign Yang, may I use your communicator? May I speak in your communicator? May I have that?
He takes out his communicator
Right,
and hands it over.
Right. Well, oh, I thought it was still open. I thought you were still on it. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think it is. Yeah, it's still on.
Okay.
It'd be very,
Right,
it was
so
difficult to
basically,
maintain connection. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I quickly say to Mbuto, and I say Mbuto only, right? In some way to communicate to Mbuto only.
Okay.
Say it's the thing. It's the same markings. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's theirs. And that's it. Just it's the thing.
Right.
It's the thing.
We can assume that Mbuto's not the type to respond anyway.
Right. I know. I get it. Right. And then I'll close communicator, give it to Yang, and say, you don't have to stay here. They need you back on the ship. In fact, he'll even say, I need someone on the ship who can keep a level head. Go back.
So
I'll manage
Yang's
things here.
Yeah. All right. Yang's a little surprised. He's just going to report through his communicator that one ready to beam up.
Chances are the shuttles at the outpost are destroyed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm not.
There's very low confidence on it.
We need to get ourselves exposed to available. We need to get available.
Right.
My question is, okay, and I'll just do a quick shoulder clap on Yang. Dude's in my good books. Totally. So I'll turn to the engineer, the fellow who was on the barrel. What the hell was his name?
We didn't give him a name. He was part of the medical crew.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So I'll turn to that person and
It's a lieutenant.
Say, yeah. Okay. Well, the lieutenant got stripes and everything. So, Lieutenant, do we have any means of quick energy generation to get this turbo lift working?
I have sent some engineers to see what they can do with auxiliary power, but they gave me that look that engineers have when you're asking for the impossible.
A quick look of complete understanding passes between us. And he says, maybe I can help motivate. So I will dash to that spot. Yeah.
And then the lieutenant starts to coordinate the mass migration.
Right. If I didn't make it clear to them, I'm going to say we're going to mobilize the resources of the Potemkin, if at all possible, to get. So if we can just get available to being picked up and beamed up.
All right. So as
we
cut away from this, scene,
that's what I want.
Right. Yeah. As we cut away from this scene, the mild-mannered doctor, who of course had pretty good sense about him to manage the crowd, at the sound of the word Potemkin, reaches out, unskilled, unthreatening, right? Just emotionally reaches out to grab Korsakov's shirt, for in the sake of intensity, right?
Oh, right.
My God, man, what did they do to us? They killed us all.
Right. He says they've figured it out. The Potemkin did not attack. On the Avicenna, they figured it out. The tech boys will explain it all later.
Who was it?
You're not under attack. He's like, you're not under attack. Listen, man, we have people here. We need to get those generators going. If you want to have a conference room discussion, maybe we can do that later.
All right. So let's see if you can de-escalate the situation. Because as we look across the 400 or 500 people that are down here.
God, they're really gutted about that whole Potemkin thing, aren't they?
Well, there's heads are bandaged, arms are bandaged. It's just like a sea of wounded.
Okay, right. You know what? Good point. I say, if the Potemkin crew were responsible, they've paid for it. They're all gone. Do you understand? They're all gone.
Oh, nice.
Right. So let's see. So that's going to be obviously, I don't like being grabbed. It seems to me Korskov really doesn't like being grabbed. So it's got to be control.
Sure.
Right? Control. And command.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but the discipline is command, yes?
Yeah, command.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to, I don't know how the system works in this regard. Tell me how the cautious applies, because I don't want to be cautious.
All cautious does is that it's trying to push you toward buying extra dice, creating opportunity with momentum, because you will be able to spend momentum that you've earned to re-roll one of your d20s.
I forego that rules advantage at the moment for the sake of not being cautious at this time. Okay. So that gives me a 2 and a 9. And this is where I may also steal from our momentum. What else is resolute?
As a value, you mean?
As a talent. Talent.
Oh, as a talent. What does resolute do for you?
Yeah, I looked at it's a vague-ish talent, I think, in terms of it's when I'm showing myself to be adaptable and resilient and human. It's a human thing. It's the Star Trek humanity of the kind of, tough little outlaw in the universe kind of thing, right? So not like those fuddy-duddy aliens who are all stuck in their ways.
Right.
We are bold. We go boldly.
Right.
So
you're not going to need it anyway.
Okay. All right. So can I spend a moment? This seems kind of important to me. Maybe I'm overcommitting, but can I spend the momentum for the extra die?
Didn't you already roll?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. Go for it.
Do it. Okay.
It's yours. The momentum is yours.
Well, that's good because I needed it. As usual, my dice betray me, but I get 1 success.
Okay.
Is 20 a bad thing?
Yes. 20 is a bad thing.
I get a 20 on one of the other dice.
Well, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I will.
Oh, God, I got to beat this guy up now.
Complication.
I am going to add a complication. It's not that you have to beat the guy up. First of all, I will share the screen. Okay, so not this screen. I will try to share the screen.
Share another screen. Yeah.
I will share this screen. Here we go. Okay. I've spent your momentum. That's it here, highlighted, which leaves us with 2. I could just give myself 2 more threat and count myself as lucky. However, I'm not. I will start a small riot as people begin to react to information that they think they heard. Right?
Oh no!
Like the Potemkin's coming back.
The Potemkin, right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, you were able to control, calm, and redirect the lieutenant.
Is my success.
Yeah, you succeeded. However, now the 2 of you need to spend time calming the herd. All right, and I'm going to cut away from that. We have enough of that.
Yeah, got it. Cut. I'm good. All
right, back on the bridge. There is a security officer waiting to authorize a plan that has been hastily cobbled together at Tactical for sending a landing party over to the Potemkin.
Approved.
Okay. So what he wants your permission on is who to send. He wants, off-duty engineers to go. He needs a helm officer and that sort of stuff. And it's at that moment that we hear doot, doot, doot from Ensign Yang. wanting to
Okay.
beam back up.
Oh, okay. Fortuitous, can we beam him directly to the Potemkin?
Not for another 150
Hi,
years.
everyone.
Okay.
You can beam him up and beam him over, though.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So let's
Yeah, they
let's
still have
think
to
of
capture your molecules en route in this show, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're like, whoa! You know? Okay,
But is
got
that
it.
something that Emputo can like try? Like, I know it
Ooh.
sounds crazy, but
Uh,
let's be the first guy to do it.
Let's save
Oh
it
my
for
God.
a more
Oh, bummer. Okay. I was going to say,
Yeah.
shoot, man.
Yeah.
They're going to scatter your primary character all over the place.
Not the first
Ensign
time.
Yang becomes one with the universe, literally.
Yeah. Well, let's think of who we're going to need over there. You said we definitely need some off-duty engineers. We need somebody in command. Do we need a helms person?
Not necessarily, but the Potemkin has 4 shuttles. It doesn't have
shuttle
2
people.
larger shuttles. It has 4 shuttles like yours.
Right.
They have a capacity of 10 each, so 2 pilots and then 10 wounded.
Damn it. How come there's no big shuttles?
Those are big shuttles.
Ours are the big shuttles. They've got the
Note
biggest
to
one
self,
right now. It's called the
recommend to
Potemkin.
Starfleet hospital ship, big shuttles. Okay, this new
Right.
transporter thing is not.
It
working.
does, however, have a larger number of transporters and larger transporters.
That's right. Right.
Than the Avicenna. Right. The Avicenna was never built for boarding parties or any of those things.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, let's keep Yang here on the Avicenna. We'll send Anya over to sort of coordinate everything. I think she's good at coordination. And then all the engineers and maybe even Jim as well, because that's where most of the medical people are going to be going.
All right. So
Right.
Jim and Anya can coordinate the crew that they're going to take, and they can begin beaming over. And okay, then the Avicenna has 2 fully functional shuttles.
Yep.
And engineering crews have been working for the last hour to get the new shuttle ready, but they will need more time.
Okay. In fact, that's probably a good place for Yang then, because he has both engineering and some good piloting, so he can be down there ready to jump in that shuttle as soon as it's ready to go.
Okay. All right. So then we're going to advance forward in time a little bit because things are taking time. So the Earth is shaking. Emputo is able to keep watch on the planet. And the air is starting to get thin down in the cargo bay when
Good. Maybe they'll faint.
when the engineering crew, right, is able to tap into some auxiliary power.
That's either that or I was going to make them hand crank if I had to.
Right?
You know?
Now, some of the security teams have begun to clear wider passages up to what they hope will be a rendezvous point and to inspect the turbo lift shafts, and all of this stuff is going on.
That's what I want. That shaft to. I want to get that shaft operating if possible.
All right. So all these things are going on. Meanwhile, the hostile environment in among the crowd, is spreading out, and the security teams and the medical teams are trying to undo the accidental damage that was done, but there's suspicion and there's fear. The kids are afraid. The parents are protective of their kids. They want to know what Starfleet is going to do, right? And they're myopically focused on punishing the crew of the Potemkin. Okay. The Potemkin comes to life under its skeleton crew of engineers, and Anya and her hand-picked bridge crew, which includes the helmsman from moments before.
liking that helmsman.
Yeah.
They stepped up when they with their crappy little zero success only presence. You know,
Right.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that she needs a name. So think on that and get ready to enter her into the wiki.
I nominate Joe.
Because he had so much rest last week.
Yeah, and also, I mean,
Yeah.
we got to get him supporting us too, right? Cast wise. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Joe, it is then. Joanne.
Joanne.
Ah!
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so
My God, it's that 1970.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
Right,
a
with the-
country and western
as if a flare. Yeah,
passion.
for all we know.
Yeah. Mhm.
they are, as they reactivate, they of course are reporting exactly what Korsakov predicted hours before. There are abandoned coffee cups. There are clipboards that are on the floor, and their silver stylus is just kind of rolling across the deck. And there's things left as if the crew was just gone.
Oh my God, translated into their psychic particles, and like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it.
Right.
Okay.
And there are reports open all over the bridge, and Jim is able to report from medical, from sickbay on the Potemkin, that they were aware that they were being scanned, and the doctor at the Potemkin recognized that it was in some way accessing their personnel records and cross-referencing DNA. And as he makes this entry, that's the last thing that he entered, right? He's mid-sentence, right? It seems to somehow be affecting our DNA. Right? And you can see him on the screen, there, and then not there.
Right.
All right.
So the entire
jump cut.
the entire crew was translated into non-physical something and gone, but nobody left. Experimental like lab rats and plants, all fine, all present and accounted for. No humans.
Because humans are special.
Yes. No Vulcans, no nothing, right? There's just gone. Okay. So the Potemkin's coming to life, and they're able to add their information to your own, right? Which includes the initial reports from the outpost about tremors, and about there was a breakdown of the original protective dome, which is what the Potemkin was originally summoned for, because those injuries were far beyond what the outpost could handle, even with their highly trained medical crew. They just simply didn't have the equipment that they needed to repair the genetic damage that was done to the residents. So they needed to be lifted off, and it was hundreds of people, right? Hence the Potemkin.
Right.
The Potemkin reports that they are not positive, but they feel that there is a cloaked Romulan vessel in the area.
Of course.
Only confirming to what the audience knew and that none of us have known about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, they have been operating with shields up at yellow alert, and are trying to figure out how they're going to commence the rescue operations. And they requested through the Commodore support.
Right. So off we went out of our docking bay.
Right.
Unrefitted.
And there was no support anywhere near. The Avicenna was as close as we were going to get. Okay. And that's really the end of the info dump information that Anya's able to liberate with her cool efficiency, right, to send back to the crew. Meanwhile, that communications officer is still waiting on the important call from Starfleet Command.
Right. Okay. Since the work is going on with the deflector dish, just to add to that, I think Tillich will oversee that personally and adds his medical knowledge to that, since we are thinking of some sort of a medical biological deflector. And he does have a focus in xenobiology.
Excellent.
Ah,
So,
yes.
yep.
So to be clear, are you not going to talk to Starfleet Command?
I'm
I
loving
will-
this. I'm loving Tillich just
No,
like takes
he's
care of
not.
the practical task. There's a bleeding
Put the-
person, there's a tech problem.
Right.
Starfleet,
Yeah.
Bug
Focus.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put them.
Starfleet's not a problem.
Do we have some?
yeah, exactly. How are you a problem? Right.
Do we have some background music we can play for?
Like funky Starfleet theme. Right.
Thank you for calling the USS Avicenna.
That's right. Yeah.
All lines are busy at this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the poor communications officer is really earning her stripes today as she deals with this, and she's flat out baldly lying.
Right.
Captain Tillich is still involved in life, in vital surgery,
Mhm.
and he is, beam me down or pipe me down to sickbay. We're sorry, we're suffering from technical difficulties.
I like the idea that the whole bridge crew, security guys and all, like incidental people, eye candy yeoman, everybody
Mhm.
doesn't even blink an eye. at that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
We're used to that shit.
Just another day.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Tell them what they need to hear.
Ben, as the lead on this extended task, Captain Tillich, you will need the better of insight and reason.
Same 9.
Okay. And then, of course, science.
Medicine, didn't I say?
Well, medicine. Okay.
I
Because it's
did
Christmas.
specifically say like I
Yeah, I
would
was
like
gonna
to
say,
treat
Here is
this
my
as a
orange.
biological.
I'm squeezing it harder.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a focus.
Yeah.
He's definitely not going to take the lead if it's a science role.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So there's 2 dice for.
Mhm.
Eventually, these 2 dice will be on camera. If anything works,
There we go. Yeah.
humans would. Okay, so there's 2 blue dice there for medical. Okay. And I will once again undergo great personal peril by trying to share the screen. There we go.
Mm.
This is the amount of momentum that is left. Of
We gotta
course,
get some more
you
of that
could
stuff.
rush and use threat.
I need to minimize that screen. You took over my entire computer there.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
I know. I feel violated. Does anyone
This
else
is
feel violated
going.
at that?
Yeah, this is more of a daring thing. So I think he's going to go threat on this one. This is
Excellent.
it feels a little more appropriate
Now,
to do a quick rush on this job.
so how much of a risk would you like to create? Just 1, or do you want to give me
Well-
3 more points, or
Let's
many-
go with 1.
just 1? You disappoint me.
We're already up to 4.
He's
I
so
don't know
seductive
how
when he says that stuff.
You're absolutely right. It is 3. It has to be 3. I've been drawn into the Anthony charm here. So it is. Yes, we're getting 2 extra,
Hey.
3,
You're gonna buy
Turn up
2
volume
extra
on that
dice?
Music, right?
2 extra
Yeah.
dice. Yep.
Thank you. You've made my
Oh,
Christmas.
God.
Mhm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Wicked. So you have 4 dice. You've created a pretty good opportunity for success, but some possible peril.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, in addition, since this is an extended task,
Right.
we did say we were also going to bring Imbuto in on this and possibly the ship.
The ship will have to be involved.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. The ship is not involved because you're working on the ship.
Okay,
Right.
right.
Ship is
right.
not involved. But Embuto is certainly able to be involved.
Okay.
All right.
I can roll for Embuto.
Excellent. Do that. If we
Using attributes same as Telek or
how about
science?
insight and science?
Inside and science.
Complementary.
Okay. And if not if the difficulty of this roll is unfortunately 3. This is way out there, and you're rushing. Okay, so the difficulty is 3, and it's likely to require more than one roll, and each interval of roll is going to be 30 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So we are doing a time challenge.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, here we go. I will roll the dice theoretically on camera. Look, there's my hand doing hand stuff in completely different directions than my actual hand.
Those dice are rolling.
Yeah, don't look at it while you do it. You'll just make yourself sick.
That's so weird. I rolled, just out of curiosity, can you see the numbers?
No,
Nope.
because it's teeny
Not
tiny
from-
on the shared
yeah.
screen.
So
If you bump
somehow,
it back, we'll be able to see it.
I rolled a 6 on a blue die and a 6 on a red die and a 19 on a red die and a 19 on a blue die.
Wow.
Very paired.
Weird. But none of you saw any of that because the screen was shared. So let's try it again.
Uh-huh.
There we go. We believe you.
Good.
6 and 19 and 19 and 6. Weirdly.
All good.
Well, I wish they were
Very
all
balanced.
Well, yeah,
too good.
too good.
And
Too good.
19.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2 of them are good.
And no 20s.
No 20s. Very close.
19
And
was close.
how about Embuto?
Embuto has a 1 success over a insight and science, which is 12. Embuto rolled an 11. So also very close.
Nicely done. Okay, so we're going to go back to the shared screen. Apologies to everyone. Okay, so this has generated, come on. This has generated 3 points of momentum, which are in hand. Okay. And these 2 points of momentum are still also available.
And these can be, I think we may want an advantage here.
Yeah.
We can get 2 of them for an advantage, correct?
We can do that, but we also have the option of reducing the resistance.
Oh,
right.
okay. So
yeah,
this
with
is
such
still
a high
an extended
resistance, that's
task.
probably a better option. Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Do
that
we know the
right now the
resistance?
resistance is
3.
3.
The
Yeah.
difficulty was 3. The resistance is 2.
Okay.
The magnitude of the task I haven't told you yet,
Yes.
but the magnitude of the task is 10. Not 10.
Oh.
The
Oh.
magnitude
The
of the task
work.
is 2.
Mhm.
The work is 10.
10.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we could spend the 2 momentum to remove the resistance, which brings it from 2 to 0 for the cost of 2 momentum.
Yeah.
And that
That's
lasts
one
throughout the
option.
entire task?
It lasts
That
through
resistance?
this one interval.
Just this one
Just
interval.
one
Okay.
interval. Right.
And that would mean we get 3 work because
That-
we had the 3 successes.
No, that means that when you roll your work, you're going to get
Yeah.
to keep what you roll.
Right.
Right.
It
We don't
won't
lose.
knock off. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
We are going
That
to
does sound like a good idea if
That
if
does.
my mechanics foo is working.
Okay. And then I'll
Agreed.
bank this.
Mhm.
Right. It's good to have a few up there, believe me. No,
Yeah.
Okay.
no joke about
for
that.
extended task. Yes, you
Yeah.
kind of want to.
So here's your,
challenge.
what is your medicine?
5. Mhm.
No,
That's enough, I guess. You're going to have 7 challenge dice. I'll stop screen sharing now, which has
Okay.
been something I've forgotten to do in so many episodes or so many sessions. I mean, all right. you guys go down there. All right. Where is the blank spot? Okay, there we go. So I got 7 challenge dice in my hand. 7, count them.
Counting them.
Gonna say
Holy crap.
Wow.
Can you see?
that's a lot of little. That's
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
little insignia there,
So-
Yep.
This is nothing.
right?
And this is nothing,
Uh-huh.
which means you rolled 5 work.
5.
And you have more than
Effects.
one effect, which means that you have activated a whole bunch of cool things.
Oh, yes.
Nice stuff. Yep.
We can
All right.
try
Now,
this.
Go, Joe. I
with
want
that, with a point of momentum, you could re-roll just these if you wanted.
How many bad things are in there if we roll them?
There are 0 bad things. This is just
Oh,
challenge dice.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Right now we have 5 work.
Yep.
Out
You're
of
halfway
some
through.
some good things.
Yep.
That's
You've
great.
made your first breakthrough.
Out of
Yeah.
2.
And with these effects, Triumphant has triggered, which means you've earned your 2nd breakthrough.
Problem solved.
You have no resistance to remove any of this. So basically, because you took these huge risks, you're going to finish in that first 30-minute interval.
Holy crap.
Wow. Yep. So I don't think we really need to spend the
It's-
momentum for the extra dice.
No.
Yeah.
But I just
No.
wanted to have it out there as something
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hang a
Mhm.
memory on, right?
Cool.
That you
cool.
can do.
Yeah.
Wow, you make all my extended tasks so easy and boring.
Well, that was actually a bit of a nail biter.
That's
That
kind of cool.
I'm good. The role playing dice did their role playing dice thing where you're like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And now we have 6 threads.
Who would have
Because
thought
think
a
of-
Vulcan
just-
captain would be so daring and risk
Risk-taking.
prone?
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying it's there's a lot of little table talky things here, and one of them is only that I lost it. I was going to say something nice and supportive too.
And you forgot? It's nice that you were going to be nice, I guess.
Mm.
Exactly. That's my thinking too. It's like, and I get my gold star for nothing. Okay, onward.
Yeah.
All right.
I already blew my own horn, so I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. So yeah. Yeah, I'm really liking Tillich's value. Timing is everything. I think that that is becoming just a key character component.
It's cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Never late and never early.
Yep. A Vulcan is never late. A Vulcan always
Okay.
arrives precisely when he intends.
So back into action. So 30 minutes have elapsed. The power's going to be activated. But, Korsakov and the lieutenant and the medical crew and the security crew are busy trying to quell the rumors. Ensign Yang is in the shuttle bay where the shuttle crews are getting ready to launch 2 of the 3 shuttles, and the engineers are trying to work miracles on the brand new shuttle. And Anya and her crew on the Potemkin are reporting that their flight deck is ready to go, and that Anya's requesting from Tillich whether or not she should assume orbit or whether she should not. The farther away she is from the planet, the longer it takes the shuttles to make the trip. Like the Avicenna, they don't have warp-capable
Right.
shuttles. So,
Right.
so no little quick bursts of.
I'm not sure there are even warp capable shuttles. Are
You've
there?
got one. You've
Okay.
got one, but it doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
Yet.
So
Yet.
yeah.
Maintain distant position for now. As soon as we can figure out this deflector dish, we'll send you the specs, and that'll help you get closer.
All right. So once
For
all
now,
this is
keep the
sorted out.
distance. Yeah.
So Mbuto is able to report. I think we've got it.
Do it, man. Damn it, do it. No, no.
Yeah, exactly. Wrong actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Bones, yeah.
Mr. Mbuto, then please commence.
Mhm.
All right.
All right.
Send specs in orders to, I believe it's engineering, to jury rig or modify the spectrums on the ships.
Right. I didn't hear all of that.
Oh, we've already got the equations worked out. So we will modify the shields from engineering to reflect that.
Deflectors.
The deflector.
Deflectors this
Yeah.
time.
We shields are
No
are
shields.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got the big shield switch off.
Yeah.
All right. So fun.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share the screen again because I don't get to do this very often. Can everybody see?
We can.
We can. Uh-huh.
Oh, fun.
Like in all of this, the nature of threat is to do that.
Some of the viewers at home may be speculating what it is that I've done. But I'm going to let them wait
Yes.
a little bit longer. But this is when I spent it. All right. So the ship rocks. Right. And the beam and Mbuto's sense of how it is slowly working its way through the crew, the pressure in acting Captain Tillich's mind, all of these things are switched off just like a light bulb. And the particle wave is reflected back down toward the planet. Almost like it's falling, almost like it's uncoiling.
Where all of us are sitting there.
Well, yeah. And for a moment, it reveals someone on tactical, one of the highly, trained crew from Korsakov's security unit, calls out, "Romulan vessel!" Right, as it's highlighted in the following wave. And another, not an arcing blast, but a discharge, right? And the cloaking device effect collapses, revealing the Romulan warbird hanging out there.
A
Yo.
proper Romulan ship with a bird on it. None of this
Yes.
Klingon crap.
Yes, it's
Cool.
an older vessel. It's not one of the newly purchased Klingon D6s. But
So we actually disabled the beam, not simply sent it around us, right?
yes, the reaction by the beam was not at all what was expected, although the outcome as far as the interior of the Avicenna is exactly what you wanted.
Right.
Cool. Shields up.
Right. So the beam itself is
the big
collapsing,
switch goes. Right?
collapsing down on the planet. All right. So okay. So the healthiest people are being led by security teams up by the more difficult routes. Right. The less healthy people are being organized by the degree of severity of wound
Right.
near the turbo lifts, which are now starting to come online.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. Ensign Yang. The engineering crew fires up the shuttle.
Right.
The new shuttle.
Oh, the new shuttle.
The new shuttle. Does anyone remember what the new shuttle was named?
Ooh.
I do not.
I remember two names.
So ready to deploy
Fontana
is
and Fabris.
right. The Sulk and the Febris
Oh,
are the
yes.
older
Mhm.
shuttles. They're ready to go.
Mhm.
And the Fontana
Ah,
is
Is the new one.
The new one.
now online.
Yep.
Right. So the new extended shuttle bay doors, slide open, and the shuttles one after the other are launched. And Ensign Yang has the go ahead already from Captain Tillich to depart.
Launch. Right.
However, it's around this time that Tactical is reporting that there's a Romulan warbird, right? So the Sulk is out and exiting the Avicenna, and the Febris is out and exiting the Avicenna, and now we know there's a warbird.
Yang is still going to launch as ordered. He will
Yang.
definitely be keeping an eye.
Right. So shields went up.
He's
Red alert is activated as a result.
Mhm.
Right, of shields going up. Okay.
Mhm.
And out you go. Now exiting the shuttle bay. Brand new ship. You've been checked out on it in simulators. It's its first flight. Difficulty 2. Control.
not to
and
mention,
calm.
yeah, that also makes sense because they had to remember we had to like patch in like equipment into it to make it work in the first session. Yeah.
It was also
not fitted.
cannibalized. Some of its new medical equipment was
exactly. Yeah,
It was
cannibalized.
not
Right.
fitted according to specs. It was just
Exactly.
fitted.
Yeah, this is it.
So, security officers are boarding, medical officers are boarding, and the flight deck is signaling,
Okay. So
don't go.
Yeah, really. Contraindicated. Yeah, as usual. Go.
Okay. Oh dear, this is where I will need to look at my talents to see if I can make a difference.
Okay, while you're looking at that, I'm going to go back to the captain for a second.
Okay, sure.
And then, the operator of the communications console says, "Message from the Romulan sub-commander, sir."
That's
Ooh, I wonder if I should take that call from Starfleet now.
No, you should just have them talk to each other. Here, you two talk.
By all means, on screen.
Okay. So, standing in gold and burgundy mail, basically, is a very proud and hawk-like male face, right? And we've already learned that this sub-commander doesn't introduce himself. Once again, the Federation is meddling in things that they do not understand. We demand that you vacate this area immediately or you will be destroyed. And at that moment, there's a signal from Tactical that the Romulan warbird is powering up a massive weapon.
Oh, them and their massive weapons out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed that? They always had a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two ways we can go on this one. One is more threatening and the other is trying to more diffuse. And in this case, I think I will make use. We definitely do not want to escalate this one. And I do have a talent, diffuse the tension, with non-violent talk from my command. And I think I'll go that route and say it was a sub-commander by rank. Was that correct?
Correct.
Sub-commander. I am Commander Tillich of the starship Avicenna. We are here on a peaceful mission. we have no intention of escalating the unfortunate misunderstandings that occasionally happen between our people. We are attempting to get our people off the planet from this situation and trying to prevent more problems. We do have 2 ships, and I'll emphasize 2 ships, pause a little bit, that are both under, that are working towards this problem. And we do not want to interfere with any of your tasks here in this system. We are only looking out for our own people and do not want to escalate this situation any more than it already is.
He responds to your diplomatic overture with, the Federation makes pretty speeches about its non-aggressive stance, and yet every year its borders expand closer and closer toward our own, destroying or twisting what they find toward their own ends. While I am inclined to believe a Vulcan in service to Starfleet is still Starfleet. So this is the opening round of our debate.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So,
how
this
seems extended
as well.
Yeah, this is pretty extended-y sounding to me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Now, would you like to try a different tactic, or would you like to hold to this tactic?
I think this is going okay so far. I haven't seen it escalate or anything build out of this yet.
He didn't add a further violent threat. I have to admit that.
No.
Yeah. Although speaking as the disembodied voice who's not in the scene and isn't really saying anything except just among us at the table, kind of see his point about Starfleet.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's
Now
no
it's
question.
time.
There's a lot of manifest destiny going on there, you know.
It's time to embody Ron. Well, I'm going to cut to Ensign Yang and his attempt to reach the planet. And while he's doing that, if you could create one of Korsakov's officers, because he's about to have a terrible realization on the bridge at tactical. I'll share that with you in a moment. Ensign Yang.
So it is still a difficulty 2, or is
It was difficulty 2, right?
Difficulty 2.
Because you have to leave quickly. You know, this is now combat protocols. You're in an unarmed vessel. One advantage that you have, though, is that this is a warp-capable vessel. It's capable of little spot warp evasive maneuvers. So you can think of the other 2 shuttles as heavy lifters, right? Their impulse power, they still move pretty quickly. They're going to be able to get to the surface in a very short amount of time. And once you get to the atmosphere, all warp is over for you. But in space, you know, the Fontana has a lot more evasive maneuver options. Assuming they're needed.
Options.
But you could just fly in a straight line. The Robins go, who cares? That could happen.
Well, I guess speed is of the essence right now for Ensign Yang. So what I think he'll do is he will spend 1 momentum to buy 1 more dice, so that gives him 3. So he's going to roll for his control.
So what is this opportunity? His course, or his use of speed, or?
I would say use of speed.
Use of speed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it's control and con.
Yes, sir.
And I have 3 successes.
Nicely done.
And none of them falls under con, so I do not get any additional success. That's just 3.
All right. So as you leave the Avicenna behind, right, you can see the last remnants of the wave collapsing down on the planet below and causing tremendous negative activity in the atmosphere and across the surface, starting up lightning storms and the like. And the two shuttles ahead of you, the Phoebus and the Salk, are reporting turbulence and stuff, but within acceptable limits. But out that huge rounded cockpit canopy that the Fontana has, right? Not just the flat view screen that the other older shuttles have, but you have this rounded viewport
Sleek.
over there, right?
It's aerodynamic for space.
And it is. You can see the brilliant plumage of the underside of the warbird, right? With its two distant, slender nacelles, right? And it's almost pentagonal body shape, right? And it's similar in size to the Avicenna, right? But it's hanging there motionless in space.
Mm-hmm.
As you make your drop down. Okay. Then, with that very nice roll, is there any use of that momentum that you'd like to make?
No, I think you'll just go back to the pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll add 2 momentum to the pool.
Actually,
yes.
Can I try something? Because I think this is something I should have done a long time ago, being the young officer on deck.
You mean your untapped potential?
Yes, exactly. Since I bought 1 momentum anyway.
Yep.
So yeah. So should I roll the challenge dice, or do you want to roll the challenge dice?
Do you have any?
Well, I can just use a d6.
Oh, I went to all the trouble of loading up this goofy camera. So
yeah, let's just
how many dice?
Well, just one challenge dice
for your untapped potential. What will happen if I don't roll a blank?
If you roll a number, that is the number of momentum I get. If you roll an effect, then that's the number of track you get, as well as the momentum.
Okay.
Blank.
Blank. All right.
Oh,
sorry.
Yep.
Boring potential then.
I was really excited. Totally tapped potential.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 3 shuttles are on their way down. Please note this is sadly only 30 people lifted off the surface, but at the same time this is 30 very injured people being lifted off the surface. We're going to cut away from Ensign Yang before he has to land to cut back to the bridge crew. How is our security officer doing? Do you need more time?
A little bit, but I've definitely got the name and a couple of things.
Okay, so let's go with it then.
Sure. The name is Mondragon with an accent over the final O.
Oh my goodness.
A fine Mexican name.
Yeah.
And and so this is, as you say, highly trained, but also not one of the lifers, fairly recent under
still has hope of a bright future in Starfleet.
Right. And
that's
so,
perfect.
But Mondragon, if anybody cares, is very eager to jump in and get stuff done, look good, do a good job, and is shall we say bushy-tailed.
Right.
So that's why, if it matters, daring might be just a tad higher than
I like
the standard, and of course security is the big
is the main. Yeah. Okay.
And so I don't know what else. Am I supposed to make up a value for these guys? I get confused about that.
No value until they've returned in other episodes.
Got it.
All right. So we haven't really looked at this screen much before. This is the current state of the ship. We haven't really done much with power that prevents it from returning, but the shields have been reduced by the initial impact interaction, I guess I should say, with the particle wave. So normally it would have 11 shields. Now you're down to 7. Okay, these
Still,
things
as I
can
recall,
go on.
as I recall, it would have been worse, except that Anya did manage to do some evasion.
Yes,
Right.
had Joanne failed in her tasks, so much damage would have been done to the shields that the ship itself would have suffered what's called a breach. That's internal damage. One of its systems would have
Reduction.
reacted. Right. So
Thank heaven for small favors. Yep.
Yeah.
yes, it's awesome. So this is the situation in the ship. So ship's power systems, fine. Ship shields, the engineers
fine.
need to work on restoring this, and this doesn't take too long. This is something that can happen, restoring the shield points. However, what Mondragon has just realized, it's just identified, is that the ship's weapons systems, tracking and launching both phasers and photon torpedoes, are completely offline.
Wow.
You may remember that a certain ensign in the very first scene on the very first roll failed and was unable to
Oh, and it all comes down to roost. Hello,
was unable to
Tekken.
condense a report for his
Yes.
captain.
Right.
This was the vital piece of information that was missed. You are welcome.
Mhm.
Yay.
So you're facing down a Romulan warbird.
Well, I mean, the Avicenna against a whole warbird isn't really much of a match in the first place. So, you know,
So there you go.
Okay.
Oh, they would be similar classes. I can say that. I mean,
Is
if
that
it's
so?
if it's
Okay.
armed with a
It's a
plasma,
destroyer. Yeah.
then you're not in the same
Okay.
class. But
Yeah.
if it's you got a chance.
yeah, they're scary weapon talk though. They've always got some strange thing in their back room that they cooked up.
Yeah.
So,
All right, now I would like a roll from Captain Tillich. Right. Suddenly, the threat and bluster has gone to negotiation.
Mhm.
So I'd like an insight and command
Okay.
roll from Captain Tillich.
And remember, I do have the diffuse the tension talent, and
So if you
also
roll-
I have
right.
diplomacy as a focus.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to create some kind of opportunity to expand the number of dice that I roll?
Absolutely. I think we want 2 extra momentum here. Everybody has been doing really well at building that momentum pool for this situation, and I
Now's
think
the time.
it is really needed. I'll buy 2 extra dice for 3 momentum.
All right.
especially because we like 19s and 20s so much.
The command, the diffuse the tension, if I talk in a non-violent way, I get an extra D20 out of that as well.
Excellent. Which rolls a 20.
Oh, damn that non-violent talk.
See what it gets you every time.
Yep.
All right. So we got 4 successes. If I remember correctly, Tillich's command is 4.
That's correct.
Okay. So there are no doubles on anything. However, there's one complication, which I'm just going to convert into threat to keep things moving along.
Okay.
All right. So while I adjust that, you have way more than enough successes to realize that the Romulan commander is stalling for time. And you have generated 4 momentum at the cost of 3 momentum.
Okay.
Leaving 2 in the pool, and you have 6 in hand.
That's not bad.
So
I will use one of them right away for information.
Yeah.
What
Stalling for time for what? Yeah.
Exactly. What kind of strategic value might be here that the Romulans would be interested in? Is this a system that is of strategic importance, or is there some, where on the borderline is it? Do I have any insight as to, in the global political sense, why they might be interested in being here? Is that part of this role?
Yeah. You can
Okay.
use, you have obtained information. You received all kinds of information earlier, which was all out of context, but now that Vulcan mind can put it into a certain amount of context.
Yeah.
One, they are outside of the neutral zone. They are the ones technically trespassing.
Yep.
Nobody really, this isn't exactly Federation space either, though. So this is kind of shady ground, but it's more, it's more Federation space because we've got an outpost here. Two,
now it is. Right.
When the Potemkin arrived, it was already here.
Right.
Yeah, it's been lurking the whole time.
3, according to the information that the captain received about the outpost, there are archaeological digs of ancient civilizations.
There's danger to both of us here.
Right. So, and then recent experience says there's something about this planet which reacts violently and kind of finally.
Yeah.
So maybe they know something that you don't know.
That was
maybe
Maybe they want something that we don't.
That's sort of the assumption
maybe they'd
going on
appreciate an
along
offer of help as long as they don't have to beg for it, right?
The other piece, is it typical for a sub commander to be in charge of a ship, or is there possibly a missing captain?
There's possibly a missing captain. There should be a commander. This would be the XO that you're talking to.
Right.
And for that point of point of momentum,
missing captain problem is just everywhere.
It's endemic.
So where do you lose your captain? Well,
something in common now.
Right. And so as you have a view into their bridge, right, not quite as open as the Federation is, there is a sense that there's too much movement in the background, even in such a cramped environment. Like
those dudes are usually calm, right? Yeah.
But people are moving. Not enough people are moving between stations. And I will give you, with your keen Vulcan senses and the like, repairs are being undertaken. So that's your use of 2 points of momentum.
Okay, cool.
Joe, let me know if you want collective mind work here, or you want us to back off.
No, absolutely input. I will give a little signal to comms to pause communications for a second. I assume in negotiations this is not abnormal.
It's normal.
You will refer to your so we'll pause them for a second, and I'll relay my thinking to this, that this situation is definitely about these artifacts somehow, and this is what they were there for, and they are probably have been suffering from the same difficulties we have, given the similarities between Romulan and Vulcan physiology. I did feel the effects of that quite keenly. And I imagine they have been as well.
Mbuto?
Maybe more so. Yeah.
You want to take Mbuto? Take him.
Yeah. He says, Commander, we can offer them assistance. They just don't want to ask for it.
I will consider that. Thank you.
All right.
That's not my interpretation, but I will reconsider that interpretation.
I'm going to cut away. 4 shuttles leave the Potemkin. Right. So we've got the 2 lead shuttles, the Sulk and the Febris, breaking atmosphere, followed by the very swiftly moving
Right.
Fontana, and then
Ooh, that's a nice shot. The clunky ones and then the sleek ones right after it. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and then 4 more of the older models, right? And Korsakov.
Yeah, I was going to say we got to get ourselves up. I think it's time to hit that turbo lift.
Right. So the turbo lift has been verified as being okay. Right? The problem is that the crowd has been down here long enough that they think this is safety.
Oh shit. Okay, it's not safe.
And it's also their home, right? They don't want to leave their home and et cetera, et cetera.
All right. This is I really, really, really don't want to do the I'm gonna beat up their leader and then they have to do what I say shit, because that's just mean, but still. All right.
And the lieutenant is willing to assist you in whatever's
Got it.
needed.
All right. A little bit out of his comfort zone. He's often cautious with, you know what, this is
Command.
kind of nice. Little role playing here, if people don't mind, right? While people are saying like really kind of selfish and provincial things about this is our home and shit like that, right? You can actually see the mean right hook. Maybe somebody gets in his face, right? You can kind of see the mean right hook is on tap, right? The
Right.
mean right hook like almost kind of gets ready. Then I'm going to click into instead my cautious command and my focus of diplomacy for command.
Okay.
Right. And it's kind of like everybody, it's almost like I look up and I can like see Telek up there. Like, can I see
Channel
Telek
your
up there?
inner
Right?
Vulcan.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, okay, so so I'm invoke. I don't know. It's just role playing to invoke, a value, right? So that's
I'm going to reduce the difficulty of your role because of that advantage created for the crew.
Got it. Okay. In that case, that works fine for me. In which case, I'm going to go for presence and I'm going to go for command because it kind of has to be.
Yep.
Instead of, for example, fitness and security. And
Everybody,
and
three
so
more.
the role
Two
isn't
more.
quite as yeah, exactly. It's not my 16 or less role, but it's not that bad. And I am going to, as long as we're talking about all these talents and stuff, you know what? I have to say here, straightforwardly to these people. In fact, I'm not even going to try and talk to them. I'm going to talk to the teams, the people who are doing their jobs. Them I need to motivate.
Right.
I cannot crowd control social
500
panic.
people. Yeah.
I can totally hit the people who have something to do. And so it's saying there's only one right thing to do, and that's to keep all these people alive. That's the right thing to do. Your job is to do it. And we need that lift working, and we need them on it. And so it's in many ways, I'm not trying to engage with the crowd. You
Right.
can even see me not punch that guy, and I'm talking to you people out there.
Good idea.
So,
all right.
Here we go. That's a 3 dice. Am I counting correctly or not?
Well, why would it be 3?
Okay, wait. I'm talking about pre-momentum. Pre-momentum. I've got the die, and then I have that advantage. Is that another die?
No, that's a difficulty reduction. But
difficulty,
you do.
Sorry.
There is an assistance die available, which
got it. Right.
Someone else roll for it?
Which
now did I see? Okay, and do I see with my little eye some ungodly amount of momentum just sitting there ready to be tapped?
Only 6.
That's what I thought. This is really important, guys. I'm taking 2.
You're gonna have to take 3. You can't take 2.
How does that work? Okay.
The first one costs 1.
Oh,
second one costs 2.
Okay.
So be 5 dice.
Right.
Including
okay.
Assistance.
Yeah. So I am okay with that.
Right. So you're
I'm
going
to be rolling my 5 dice.
No, four for you.
You're going to
one
roll
for me.
4.
Right, you're right, and then a fifth will be rolled.
Do you want more?
Yes.
You can spend more.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. Okay.
Maybe
There
some
were empty
threat.
other- there
Would
were
you like a
empty
little bit
other-
of
Yeah,
threat?
yeah. Some
I've been seduced enough by you. So there have to be boundaries somewhere here.
And you're
Right,
using
hang on.
cautious, right?
Casey, yes, please.
You're using
Sorry.
your cautious.
Yeah, I am.
So
So,
you have to
and
remember-
I'm also using the diplomacy. So,
Right. So
if we
with
get a tiny
cautious,
number.
if
Mhm.
there's one d20 that you'd like to re-roll, it will cost 1 momentum at that time.
When I roll that, we've been getting our little 20s cropping up a lot lately. Let's just keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go for it.
there's my 4 dice. And I have 3 successes, and one of them is a 3.
Excellent. So 4 successes. And the
then
assistance.
right.
Assistance.
What is the?
It's
well,
an
it's a
11.
17. It's a 17, so no. It's
A 17. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that exhausted, injured himself, that sort of stuff. The not a lot of
Right. He
help
tries.
gets
Good
through.
for him. Yeah.
Okay. So it takes some time to get people willing to follow through, but the security teams are relieved that there is an actual security officer of rank
Right.
here to organize things, so they fall into place. The medical crews, they're just focused on the injured, and they are plenty stern about who gets to go first, right? So it's already all organized. It just needed to actually happen, and so now it's happening. The turbo lifts are whooshing up, the big ones and the personal ones, and the engineers, of course, are worried about how much time they have for power, and because they're also considering,
so am I, but
they're also considering the transporter pads.
right. The as far as I can tell, listen, we can't argue with it. If we get anybody up out of here safely, that's more than none. If it's any consolation, the last people going up are me and you.
I'll keep it going.
Volunteer.
Right.
So the first group gets to the level below the shuttle bay, where engineering crews are trying to repair the atmosphere barrier, and they're having very spotty success with it. But they're giving you the green light, for those who can, make it to the shuttles, to try and make it to the shuttle. So, the Febris comes in and the Salt comes in, but it's going to be the Fontana that lands first.
Of course. Pulling ahead. Yeah.
Now, Ensign Yang, right? You have a very unstable environment on which to land, a very small space in which to navigate through in order to begin emergency operations. Plus, you can only take those that have been deemed medical emergencies. You can't take anyone who's healthy or otherwise. They have to go through the transporters.
Brutal. That's like moms and kids being separated and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to forego the landing, right?
All right.
This is your chance to command, you leader among men. And I'm throwing a value complication your way for an opportunity to earn a point of determination. I'm
Do I-
suggesting that you might want to take everybody. Like first come, first served. If you agree with me, you can have a point of determination.
And do I get to choose the value, or are you specifically attacking one?
I have chosen the value, yes.
Okay.
The leader among men. No one's going to tell me who to
Oh.
take. No one's going to tell me who to separate from their mom.
Oh, wait. So leader among men also means arrogant and
Right,
good
the flip
enough.
side.
I accept this. I accept this implication.
Play enough Pendragon, and everything
Yeah.
suddenly becomes dual natured.
Mhm.
So what you're saying is, if I take this complication, it means I'm going to fit more than I normally, over capacity myself, is it?
You don't have to go that far because you understand the engineering side of it. What I'm saying is that you won't you'll take the people that come first. Let's say that way. Like, mom's supposed to hand over her crippled child, and then she's supposed to stay behind.
Right.
And he can go either way.
He can go either way. He can do what he's ordered to do. No point of determination. He can see himself as a leader.
I think Yang is still idealistic. He still wants to think that doing the right thing, mother and child together, no one gets separated, and that could cost him. But he believes he's doing the right thing. So I'm going to say no to the complication.
Okay. All right. So the security teams are making sure that people are the right people are loaded on the shuttles, and for a moment we can see Ensign Yang in the doorway, right, backlit, right, by the inner light of this gleaming silvery shuttle, which still doesn't even have the Avicenna's markings painted on it, right?
Man, doesn't even have our. We got to tag that thing. Yeah.
Right. And we see the instant calm settle, right? The mood of the crowd was beginning to build toward panic, right? And, rushing for freedom, right? Because now they can see the devastation. They can see the outpost is a smoking hole. They can see
our home, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
This huge ribbon of energy falling out of the sky, right? To land on the mountain range, right? But there is peace brought by Ensign Yang. All right. Not bad.
Peace and disobedience.
Okay, so the transporters aboard the Potemkin and aboard the Avicenna need captain's orders to drop shields. Captain is engaged in this debate with the Romulan warbird, which hasn't raised shields.
Ooh.
But Mbuto is certainly
well, they probably know not to, right?
Yeah.
Mbuto is still aware that there is a very large energy buildup in the ship, which, according to Starfleet information, could be this highly destructive weapon reported by the Enterprise, or it could be something to do with the cloaking device.
Okay. So it's back to the bridge?
It's back to the bridge, and it's time now for Tillich's roll-off against the Romulan commander, or the Romulan sub-commander. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I will go back to communication with the sub-commander. And I will say, sub-commander, this situation is not typical. We should not feel obliged to fall into old patterns. We have both of our crews in danger from this rather unusual situation. And I think if we set aside our mutual distrust for a brief moment, I think we can come to a situation where we can all get out of this with a more reasonable solution. And very directly, I will say, drop shields, cancel red alert. Taking the first step.
Nice. Okay.
There's your nonviolence right there. That's
There
not
it is.
just pretty talk.
All
Yeah.
right. That's very cool. So then,
can we cut to Mondragon, like looking at the phasers offline thing, going,
Yeah.
right, and you can fire the photon torpedoes, but you can't guide them or track them or
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like,
So here's the deal. This is an opposed roll. Right. Now your difficulties are different. You've brought different amounts of facts and force to the table, right? But you have managed to reduce the difficulty down to a 1. All right. So let's take a look at your roll. We're starting off with your basic 2 plus, with your talent, you get to leverage an extra die.
Mhm.
All right. So that's 3. There are 3 momentum sitting in the bank, as I recall.
I will certainly use one of them.
Okay.
I think 1 is warranted in this particular case.
All right. 4 dice. Excellent. Okay.
And still with a focus of diplomacy that allows me doubles on, is this command?
This
Are
is
we still on
command. So
command
4
here?
or less. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't you feel like the tension rises the longer that the dice get shaken?
Yeah, and a long-standing aesthetic of role playing.
Weird. 2 15s, a 14, and a 13. 4.
The 14 and a 13, 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. I suddenly forgot what the target number was.
Presence and command are 14.
Yeah, fortunately, he's well supplied.
Okay, so 2 successes. All right. Now the shuttles report that they're back up with the first wave of heavy casualties, right? By the time this debate between the two happens. And the transporters, as soon as the shields were dropped, the transporter crews leapt into action, starting to beam up, right? So the Avicenna is bringing 12 aboard at a time.
Okay.
Right.
Are they beaming into the Potemkin as well?
The Potemkin's able to bring quite a few more.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
But still, we're talking about hundreds, right?
I know it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
And turbo lifting is the rest, but that's a slower process. So, right.
So the Romulan subcommander does what Tillich had done previously. You know, he cuts communications. It goes blank. There's this long, drawn out pause, and Buto is able to study the power fluctuations, which keep dying out. Right, it builds up and then dies out.
Oh no, policy debates.
I think since it's cut out, I will say to Mbuto, I think they're having engine difficulties. I think this is a buildup of a problem, not necessarily their shields or weapons. Can we do a subtle scan that they're not able to detect, just to figure out what's going on with their ship? Because we really do have 3 possibilities. It's either the cloaking device, a weapon, or maybe even engine overload. They might be in serious danger here.
Difficulty would be 4 on this task.
Yeah, because they're sneaky sensor bastards, just like we are.
Yeah.
Right, getting through that. Yeah,
not worth the risk at this point. We're at a delicate point in negotiation. Let's hold on.
Mbuto's like their sensor systems are extremely sophisticated. Overcoming that will be hard.
Understood.
Right. Yeah. So they leave you hanging in space, right? There's this agonizing, right, which gives the particle wave time to fully collapse down to the surface, where of course everyone's expecting there to be devastation, but
no, it's not. We didn't reflect it back via our shields, so whatever vibration badness is
right.
Good deal.
All right. So there's no devastation, but it's a stunning visual effect, which makes navigating back to the ship terrifying for the passengers of the Fontana, who can actually see it, right? Whereas the other ships are, like sleek sided and the cockpit is sealed off and that sort of stuff. Okay, so again, we'll fast forward a little bit as operations progress and massive numbers of people are transported up off the planet. And Buto continues doing sensor scans, looking for any sign of you know, if the Potemkin's crew was translated somewhere, where did they go? Right? Are they just existing somewhere in?
Yeah, that's problem B.
Yeah.
It's Mbuto, the poor communications officer,
Who
right?
still got
Right.
Federation
Yeah,
Starfleet Command on
and
hold.
says,
Yeah, yeah.
Captain, Federation Command.
Hold, please.
For the first time, the communications officer, who's been good with holding all this time so far, but this time they wince.
Because it's been literal hours.
Well, right, and not only that, but there is a breather at the moment. As far as the communications officer is concerned, this is an appropriate breather.
Right.
Ouch. Right.
So, you know, they lost.
Matches on.
They sent Avicenna off to rendezvous with the Potemkin, and then Avicenna arrives, recognizes the tremendous peril, leaps into action, doesn't communicate with Starfleet Command. So 2 ships go there, and neither ship is responding.
No, that's pain, but you know,
We could use a third ship.
yeah. No, we have a third ship. That's the problem.
All right.
We do have a third ship, which
right.
we're trying to desperately make that not a problem. So,
Now, as we bring the pilot episode to a close, gentlemen, a bunch of things happen in rapid fire. The last 2 people down at the outpost, standing under this kind of aurora borealis of the collapsing wave, are Korsakov and the local engineer.
right.
Standing in front of the Fontana, right? The last one to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And in the bridge, the Romulan sub-commander reappears aboard the Potemkin. Joanne starts screaming about a huge sensor contact. We cut back to the Avicenna bridge where Mbuto, no need to scream, is calmly noting the arrival of a massive ship. Right. The Romulan sub-commander, not a Vulcan, a Romulan. Right. His face flickers through shades of emotion, from anger at first to abject terror. And over top of the Avicenna, dwarfed by its size, the Avicenna is dwarfed by its size, comes a heavy cruiser of the Gorn hegemony. Spearing the warbird with tractors, pulling it closer. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why I spent the 6th threat.
Yes.
Okay. And a message comes through in the heavy lisping sound of the Gorn. No image, just audio. You know, Federation ship, retrieve your crew and vacate this area as claimed by the Gorn hegemony.
That's
and the
Romulans, sort of generous of them on their part.
The Romulan signal cuts out.
Right.
And Mbuto calmly says, the Gorn seem to be powering weapons. So one last task. Getting Korsakov and his new best friend, the engineer, off the planet as Ensign Yang before the patience of the Gorn wears off.
So as am I able to board the Fontana at this time?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, we'll hop in the Fontana. Yang, you're at the helm there, I imagine. And I'll say, oh, they got this thing working. And then I turn that into a question mark. I look at Yang like a question mark. It's like, they got this thing working. And it's kind of like thought balloon.
Mm.
Did they?
It's good enough, you guys out before the Gorn blows us to bits.
All right. So we'll hop into
Pause
the
communication on the bridge. Ensign Yang, at your best speed, please.
All right,
Close
so
it
this
all to
will
the maximum.
this will count as an assist from the captain. Yeah.
Exactly. AKA punch it, Chewie.
Yeah. Mm.
All right. So as the episode draws to a close, the Fontana, leaves atmosphere. We can see this huge Gorn cruiser, right, which is rounded. It doesn't have extended nacelles, right? They're pulled in close to the body, and it's heavily armored, and it just seems to drift so slowly through space, dragging the warbird behind it.
Sorry, Romulans.
Right.
Yeah.
And as the shuttle bay doors open, we end up hearing as the last thing,
no.
the communications officer, right, is scrolling through the crew of the Potemkin, right, missing in action, starting from the captain and all the way down, and then we hear Lieutenant Yang, right, tactical officer,
right,
and we fade to the last bit of black before we have our on the bridge moment with the main cast of characters. We have Ensign Yang at the helm, we have Korsakov at tactical, and we have Captain Tillich, acting Captain Tillich, in the command chair as the Avicenna heads home with the Potemkin.
With the Potemkin, which is good.
Korsakov,
Sir.
how did you get everyone out? Good work, by the way.
Thank you, sir. The credit belongs to the cool heads of the research, engineering, and colonists. Things became emotional down there. Sir, a word.
By all means.
We may be causing a lot of problems out here. It was our own shields. The first, those the Potemkin. There are now wait, I still don't know as a player. Does or doesn't Tillich know about the artifact?
About the
in my quarters.
That it's in your quarters, we had decided that was an unknown factor.
It's time to say. It's time. It's time. I look at Mbudo and I say, the captain, the previous, what was he? He was Stone
Anders. Yeah.
Anders, right? He said, Captain Anders knew something that you don't. Let me show you. Yeah, let me show you.
Cool.
Right.
And we fade to black.
Yeah.
And the borrowed music from the original Star Trek series comes up, and everybody wonders, will there be different music next time?
Yeah.
And will there be a voiceover
exactly.
next time?
That's the pilot, right? They're not going to give us music yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Good hands, people. You're in good hands with all states.
And that ends the pilot episode, The Nature of Threat, for Star Trek Adventures. Thank you very much for playing, gentlemen.
Cool. Thanks for hosting. Good story.
Very nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I have just
Reflections to follow, certainly.
Yeah.
I have just a few minutes. If there's any, we'll deal with the experience point system, and it's not an experience point system. We'll deal with
No,
experience.
it's a thing though. Yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning of the next episode, because that will tie into how that episode actually goes. And we'll talk about it in the week in between.
Yeah.
But
I assume the refusal to contact will factor into the beginning of next session as well.
There's a bunch. There's a bunch of interesting things to
repercussions here.
We have. Well, it's the starting material is dense, right? I mean, and I've been thinking about this. Okay, not in terms of the next generation. I'm thinking in terms of season 1 and season 2 of the original series, right? So season 2, and it's this case for all science fiction shows, or all shows, I guess, but I'm thinking about science fiction. Season 2, they're like, oh, well, what do we know now? Right? They actually go back and look, and there's like stuff to know. There's stuff to, maybe it's a pilot to into the official season 2. You say, well, we tried it, and we put our, we went pedal to the metal. We made an episode. It was the hardest thing we ever did. It was a bitch. We didn't know what we were doing. We're making up characters left and right. We're making up props left and right. And now what do we know? Because now we got to write stuff. Now we got to tell the writers something.
Right.
We didn't have anything to tell them before, very little, right? We had like 2 pages of, notes. And that was hard enough. Now what are we going to write? And, they're maybe maybe they're even saying to themselves, did we put too much in there? Shit, we got to now we got to find now we got to make up more Gorn makeup. Right, we got to figure out how to make. We had one Gorn costume, right? Now we're gonna have to make a bunch.
That's why they were audio only.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. They didn't have a new Gorn ready, and everybody would complain if you used the old costume. But besides, its eyeballs didn't move. They're still making the eyeballs work. So so now they're. But the point is, what do we know? What do we know? We know all this stuff, and I'm thinking about the game. I mean, the characters come in so freaking rich, right? Not like characters in the opening of a TV show. The characters come in rich. So it's kind of like we're so much packed there for us to like exploit, use, develop, challenge, complicate. It's not a criticism. It's more like, okay, it's like I've been landed with that pilot, and now I'm looking at this damn sheet and going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Somebody, the writers had too much coffee. They put down too much shit.
And the sheets don't change much. I mean, like the stress track will change, and there'll be different situations, which I didn't want to get into for the pilot, like taking stress off for emotional blows, like Yang finding out his brother is missing in action kind of thing could definitely affect the stress track. Tillich under psychic pressure while operating, I just didn't want to go there mechanically for this. But episode.
Otherwise, the characters aren't very plastic, right? They're not. It's like the material's there to be done. Why would we change it? We haven't even scratched it hardly.
Right. And a point you made very early on was that I don't really want to challenge values until we've had a chance to see them be valuable, right? Until we've And I really liked how when we complicated Yang's today, right, he countered with one of his other values.
Right. I noticed that I ended up, because of that frighteningly nuanced character that the dice gave me, right? More nuanced than I had expected or wanted even. Korsakoff is way too, that's why I made him Russian. He's complicated. Is that that I saw several times when I'm like, oh man, those 2 values are just like they are not playing nicely together. This one says do this one says do that. So I can see that happening. You have 4, right? The chances for some contradiction is pretty high.
Reasonable.
All right. So kind of an action-packed closing there with not only the Romulans, but also the Gorn and the Federation, all interested
Hey,
in the same
we
piece of
bought all
space.
that thread as we went along, right? We just bought thread.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we asked for
Yeah.
it. We're like, you know,
Yeah.
we are one little ship, and all the other ones are bigger.
So it's kind of interesting.
We did work very competently, though. I was impressed at how we really pulled a lot of the very difficult situations. Some of them we made look very easy. Some of it was luck, but some of it
Right.
was, I think, good planning and good use of what we had. So
I like the idea that the crew actually is pretty damn good at what they do, but these situations out here in space are brutal. The Cold War aspect of it is brutal. The unknown alien civilizations is brutal. The need to the dangers to others, right, are nasty. I mean, how many colonies? I just watched This Side of Paradise yesterday, the first season episode, and it's about this colony that had gone out there, and they didn't even know it was an agrarian, idealistic, kind of hippified colony in the first place. And then there's these hideous rays in the system which are going to fucking melt everybody. They're fatal. The Enterprise is sent out there just saying, okay, the colony's been blasted into smithereens by these rays. You know, they're expecting to kind of go off for some grim mop up, you know, everybody's dead mission. And it turns out they're all healthy and alive because of the spores, which counteract rays. And the presumption is colonies are lost.
Right.
I mean, they're like, it's a tragedy, but this shit happens. It's kind of a given. I think every colonist settlement out there knows that TPK is a distinct possibility on all of us out here. You know, we got our hose and we got our our GMO beans, and we've got our, you know, our little med kits, and hoping for, you know, a starship to drop by every 2 years.
But
And that's all we've
frontier.
got. It's the frontier, man. We could be obliterated. We chose this, and it's the fact that was like a backdrop. That was the default of the episode, and that the shock was not that, oh no, they're in danger. The shock was, oh no, they're alive.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was sitting there going, this is tough. This is a tough universe out there.
All right, gents, I must set sail.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Good
Bye,
session.
everybody.
Good chatting with you guys.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Next
Take
time.
care.
Yep. Bye-bye.